So in Eduardo's speech, his main claim proposed that social media benefits schools and higher education. However, it's my goal to refute this claim. My claim is that social media fails to benefit schools and higher education. In the advocate's speech, his secondary claim suggests that social media bolsters knowledge. However, in response to this, my claim is that social media impedes learning and retention of knowledge. In 1971, psychologist Albert Bandura made the social learning theory well known with his study on children and the Bobo doll. And what he discovered is still relevant today. Bandura demonstrated that children learn and imitate behaviors they observe in other people, whether it's through live, verbal, or symbolic cues. Kendra Cherry, a psychosocial rehabilitation specialist and psychology educator and author, explained that Bandura's study concluded that in learning situations, it does not always lead to changed behavior, because you actually have to pay attention to learn. And anything that detracts your attention is going to have a negative effect on observational learning. So how does social media affect learning? In a study done by Suzanne E. Baumgartner and her team of researchers for the Journal of Early Adolescence, they evaluated adolescents in the Netherlands while they multitasked between different social media outlets and social media, along with non-media related tasks like homework and studying. The Netherlands is comparable to the US in the technological sense. In her study, Baumgartner concluded that there were negative consequences for cognitive control processes like executive function when students were engaging in frequent multimedia tasking. And executive functions are responsible for the regulation of thoughts and actions of a person, while also attributing to an individual's academic achievements, social skills, and their personality. The use of social media distracted students from learning at a higher level, and it had detrimental effects on their overall academic performances. In the advocate's secondary claim, he stated that social media was more convenient for students. However, in response to his claim, my secondary claim is that social media's convenience fails to benefit learning environments. It's evident that social media has a large presence in society. It can be found on our phones, tablets, computers, and other devices. So yes, it's more convenient. Our society is based on convenience, from fast food to depositing checks through an app. The statistics reign true for this. According to Statistic Brain, 98% of 18 to 24-year-olds use some outlet of social media. And Ellen Niemer of Alive Natural Health and Wellness magazine states that on average 77.5% of 15 to 17-year-olds and 38% of 12 to 14-year-olds use social media. Social media might be more convenient, but what purpose does this serve? It makes information readily available to students, and in the Paul A. Kirshner and Aaron C. Krupinski study, they determined that students appear to be slower developing adequate skills in using information technology in support of their academic activities, which limits technology's current value in the institution. Sometimes the convenience of having information so readily available leads students into thinking they can accomplish more by multitasking between social media and homework and studying. In reality, what most students don't realize is that the ability to quickly switch between different tasks or different media does not mean that it's beneficial or positive for them to do this or for learning in this way, as said by Kirshner. The advocate's third secondary claim stated that social media will promote studying habits. Nonetheless, in response to this, my last secondary claim is that the use of social media fails to promote studying habits in students. In the same study by Kirshner, Facebook users reported lower mean GPAs and reported spending fewer hours per week studying on average than Facebook non-users. Even from personal experience, I know that my social media usage prevents me from studying and being efficient with my time. In a study reported in the New York Times by Bob Sullivan, 136 subjects divided into 3 groups were asked to read a short passage and answer questions about it. One group completed the assignment without interruptions, and the other 2 groups were told they might be contacted for further instructions at any moment via instant message. The conclusion made from the data was that the distraction of an interruption, combined with the brain drain of preparing for that interruption, made the test takers 20% dumber. That's enough to turn a B- student with an 80% average into a failure at 62%. The multitasking between media and homework causes students to have problems in focusing their attention, inhibiting irrelevant distractions from their environment, and being able to shift efficiently between tasks. For a comparison, the distractions and multitasking of social media can even carry over into a workplace too. Office workers are interrupted, or self-interrupt, roughly every 3 minutes, and academic studies have found with numerous distractions coming in both digital and human forms, once thrown off track, it can take some 23 minutes for a worker to return to the original task. as said by Gloria Mark, a professor of informatics at UC Irvine who studies digital distraction. In conclusion, I refuted the claim that social media is beneficial to schools and higher education. Social media fails to benefit schools and higher education for 3 reasons. It impedes the learning and retention of knowledge, its convenience fails to benefit learning environments, and it fails to promote studying habits among students. All of these lead to greater inefficiency, poor academic performance, and cause problems later on in work environments. Thank you.
All right, Cydney, you do a nice job delivering the message. You're looking at the audience for the most part. You only have to read information when you need particular data or coding, so I appreciated that. I thought that you did a nice job in identifying what the main proposition was. Most of your argument consists of counterclaims. There's not a lot of analysis of the advocate's evidence or their reasoning in the process, whether or not you thought it was adequate or not. But you're usually going for the kill, the counterclaim, and here's the proof on the counterclaim. And you've got a lot of evidence on the counterclaims, which I thought was probably a good way to proceed, because especially on that third point, you had a whole bunch of information that talks about how it's distracting and it slows things down. The whole development of multitasking on that first point, I thought that was pretty effective. And the convenience factor, I do think that there's not much denial that it is convenient, but the notion that they think that they can multitask, you're basically taking the argument from the first and the third point and applying it here. So, there's a very thorough development of those issues. You explain what the contradictory claims are. I do think a little more contrast to the advocate's points would be probably give you, a greater chance of successfully convincing people that the argument that you're making, or the argument that the advocate's making, is problematic. But I think you build a very solid argument for the position that you're taking. All right. Thank you.